The moment you go quiet is the exact moment she starts obsessing over you. Not when you text her more, not when you try to explain yourself, but when you disappear. Silence messes with her mind more than anything you could ever say. You'd be shocked how powerful silence really is. It's not just about ignoring someone. It's about what that silence does to her emotions, her thoughts, her ego. Most guys chase, over-explain, and try to win her back with words. But the moment you go quiet, that's when her brain starts doing all the work for you. And it drives her crazy in ways you probably don't even realize yet. The moment you go quiet, everything changes. Not instantly, and not always in a way that's visible at first. But behind the scenes, mentally and emotionally, it messes with her more than any angry message or dramatic confrontation ever could. Because silence makes people think. And when you stop talking, you stop explaining, stop texting, stop reacting, she's left with just one thing, her own thoughts. And trust me, those thoughts get loud, fast, especially if she's not used to you being silent. If you've always been available, always replying, always showing up, then suddenly going quiet is like flipping the table mid-game. It's not what she expects, and that disruption throws her into a mental loop that she can't ignore. She starts wondering what changed. And when a woman is stuck in her head, replaying everything trying to figure it out, she's not moving on, she's fixated. Most men don't realize the power of their silence because they've been conditioned to believe that being a man means always pursuing, always proving, always being the one to initiate. But that only works up to a certain point, because too much pursuit without any challenge makes you look like you're trying to convince her to like you. And attraction doesn't work like that. You don't build attraction by chasing it. You build it by becoming something she wants to chase. And sometimes becoming that starts with just disappearing. Not forever, not to manipulate, but long enough for her to notice the absence. Long enough for her to feel the void you used to fill. Women operate on emotion and energy. When you're constantly giving them attention, energy, validation, they feel in control. They know you're there. They can relax. But when you suddenly stop, it's like cutting off the fuel to a fire. It doesn't die right away. It flickers, it crackles, it tries to survive. And then it either burns out or it explodes back to life. The silence either shows her she didn't value you enough, or it scares her into realizing she actually did, and she didn't see it until it was almost gone. Picture this. She's sitting there on her bed, phone in hand, scrolling mindlessly through Instagram. You used to text her every morning, a hey or a meme or something casual. But today there's nothing. No message. No reply to her last dry LOL. She notices. Not immediately, maybe not even consciously, but something feels off. An itch she can't quite scratch. She goes about her day, but that silence starts growing louder. A few hours pass. Still nothing. By the end of the night, her mind is running circles. Why didn't he text? Did I do something? Is he mad? Is he done with me? She won't show it, not yet. But her emotions are now working against her, the same way yours used to when she pulled away. You flip the emotional dynamic, and once you do that, the game shifts entirely. Because now she's the one wondering. She's the one checking her phone. She's the one feeling insecure. And not because you did anything toxic. You just stopped feeding something that wasn't feeding you back. And that space, that pause, is often the exact moment a woman starts to realize what you actually meant to her. Not when you were chasing, not when you were always available, but when you stop being so easy to reach. That's when the respect starts to grow again. That's when the attraction gets reignited. And it doesn't even have to be someone you were officially dating. This could be a situationship, a talking stage, someone you've been flirting with for weeks. The principle is the same. Women don't start valuing what's constantly in front of them. They value what they have to wonder about, what they might lose, what isn't guaranteed. Think about it. How many times have you heard a woman say something like, "He was great, but I just wasn't feeling it," about the guy who did everything for her? Then months later, when he finally moves on, suddenly she's watching his stories, liking his posts and saying, "I miss you." Why? Because his silence forced her to feel what he had been feeling for weeks. that uncertainty, that curiosity, that pull. It's wild how silence, something so simple, so passive, can have that much power, but it does. And part of the reason it works so well is because it creates mystery, and mystery is the fuel of attraction. When she knows everything about you, when she knows exactly what you're thinking and how you feel every second of the day, there's no mystery left. There's no spark. But silence reintroduces that unpredictability. Suddenly, she doesn't know what you're thinking. She can't predict your next move. She can't even tell if you're still into her. And that uncertainty is intoxicating because it makes her feel. And people don't get addicted to logic. They get addicted to feelings. It's important to say this, though. Silence isn't about being cold. It's not about being rude or playing childish games. It's not ghosting. It's not blocking her and hoping she begs for you back. No. It's about stepping back when you feel unappreciated. It's about choosing not to engage when your energy isn't being matched. It's about giving her the space to come towards you instead of constantly being the one moving forward. Silence is not revenge. It's respect for yourself. And ironically, that self-respect is what makes her respect you even more. There's a reason the phrase "absence makes the heart grow fonder" exists, because it's true, but it only works if your presence had value in the first place. And if it did, if you were showing up, being consistent, being real, then your absence will echo louder than any words you could have said. She'll notice it, she'll feel it, and she'll either step up or fall off. But either way, you'll finally see where you really stand. When you stop talking, it's not just the words that go missing. It's the attention, the validation, the certainty. And that's what hits her the hardest. Because whether she admits it or not, a lot of women crave certainty in relationships. Even if they're the ones being distant, even if they're not ready for commitment, they still want to know you're around. They want to feel like they have access to you whenever they choose. So when that access suddenly disappears, it doesn't just confuse them, it unsettles them. They start replaying everything in their heads, trying to figure out where they lost control of the situation. That's what really gets under their skin. Not just that you stop talking, but that they don't know why. You've got to understand something. Modern dating has made attention cheap. A woman can open any app and find 20 guys who'll tell her she's beautiful. But what happens when the one guy she actually had a real connection with suddenly goes quiet? That's different. That's rare. Because most men are so afraid of losing her that they never stop talking, even when it's clear she's already checked out. But the man who can feel her pulling away and just step back without drama, without begging, without trying to fix it, that man lives rent-free in her head. He becomes the one that stands out. Because in a world full of guys who over-explain and over-text, silence is the loudest response you can give. And let's be real, silence takes strength. It's not easy, especially when you care, especially when you want to explain your side, say your piece, or get closure. But here's the truth. Most of the time, closure is a trap. You think you're going to get answers that help you move on, but really, it just opens the door for more confusion, more disappointment, more false hope. Going quiet is not giving up. It's recognizing that your energy is better spent on peace than on explanations that won't change anything. You're not disappearing to make her suffer. You're choosing not to suffer anymore yourself. And when you do that, something crazy happens. You stop reacting, you stop chasing, and your whole vibe shifts. That energy you used to pour into her, into checking your phone, wondering what she's doing, why she hasn't replied, you start pouring that into yourself. You start working out again, grinding on your goals, hanging with people who actually value your presence. And guess what? That shift doesn't go unnoticed. Even if she doesn't say a word, even if she acts like she doesn't care, she feels it. And that feeling creates tension. Tension creates curiosity. Curiosity creates attraction. And now she's in a completely different headspace than she was before. Now she's watching. Now she's listening. Now she's checking to see if you're still checking for her. And when she realizes you're not, that you're no longer orbiting her world, the panic starts. Not because she lost you, but because she realizes she never really had you the way she thought she did. See, women tend to assume a man's consistency equals dependency. They believe if you've always been there, you always will be. So when you show them that's not true, when your actions prove you can pull back and move on, That illusion gets shattered, and she's forced to reevaluate everything. She starts second-guessing her decision to be distant. She rereads old messages, looks at old photos, checks your profile way more than she wants to admit. She might even try to casually reappear. A "hey stranger" text, a story reply, something subtle to test the waters. Because in her mind, you were supposed to chase. You were supposed to stay stuck. Your silence broke the rules she had for you. And now she's trying to figure out how to reset the game. But here's where most guys mess up. The moment she comes back, they rush to respond. They get excited. They take her reappearance as a sign that everything's fixed. And just like that, they lose all the power they gained by going quiet in the first place. Listen closely. When a woman starts feeling your absence, her first reaction isn't always genuine interest. Sometimes it's just insecurity. Sometimes it's ego. Sometimes it's just her wanting to know she can still get your attention if she wants it. That doesn't mean she's changed. That doesn't mean she's ready. That just means your silence worked. But if you break it too early, if you cave at the first sign of attention, you give all that power right back to her. That's why silence needs to come from a place of peace, not punishment. It's not a tactic. It's a mindset. You're not going quiet to make her chase. You're going quiet because you finally realize chasing her isn't worth your peace anymore. And once you truly mean that, once your energy is focused on your own growth, your own happiness, her reaction becomes almost irrelevant. Whether she misses you or not doesn't change the fact that you're doing better, that you're healing, that you're moving forward. And ironically, that's the exact moment she starts looking back. And the craziest part? Sometimes she won't even tell you. She'll keep it quiet, keep it inside. She might never text you, never call, never reach out, but she'll carry that silence with her. It'll haunt her in ways you'll never see. Because she knows what she lost. She knows who you were. And deep down, she knows she was the one who let it all go. See, when a woman starts losing her mind after you go quiet, it's not because you're playing games, it's because the emotional structure she built around your presence starts to collapse. Most guys don't realize how much a woman depends on a man's predictable presence, even if she's not all in, even if she's acting cold or unavailable. It's not always about feelings or love. Sometimes it's just comfort. It's knowing that you're there, somewhere in the background, checking in, still wanting her. That alone can be enough to keep her feeling powerful, even when she's not showing you that same energy. So when that power source suddenly goes offline, her whole emotional system short circuits. She starts asking herself questions she didn't expect to ask. Why hasn't he texted? Did I push him too far? Is he seeing someone else? Did he stop caring? That last one is what stings the most, because that fear that maybe you've moved on taps into a deeper insecurity. It forces her to face something she's probably been ignoring. You were real. You weren't just another guy in her DMs. You actually cared. You actually showed up. And now, without warning, you're gone. That quiet, that absence, it echoes. She hears it louder than anything you could ever say. And here's something most guys never consider. Women don't always feel the loss of a man when he leaves. They feel it when he stops trying. Because a woman can leave you emotionally weeks before the relationship ends. But when you finally match her energy, when you stop reaching, stop explaining, stop checking in, that's when she feels the void. That's when it becomes real. And suddenly she's not in control anymore. She's in reaction mode. That emotional shift from being the one who holds the power to the one who's trying to understand what changed is what starts driving her crazy. It doesn't matter how independent she acts or how tough she seems. Every woman deep down wants to feel wanted, not just physically, but emotionally. She wants to feel desired in a way that isn't needy. That's why your silence speaks louder than any paragraph you could send. It tells her, I wanted you, but I don't need you. I cared, but I won't chase. I showed up, but I won't beg. And that message, even if it's never said out loud, rewires her whole perception of you. She starts wondering if she underestimated you, if maybe you were stronger than she thought, if maybe the way she treated you was never going to keep you around in the first place. And it's in that space, in that uncertainty, that her mind starts doing the real work. She starts playing back every conversation, every message, every time you were there for her, and she brushed it off. She starts to regret things she never even thought twice about before. Because now, the one person who gave her consistent energy has gone silent, and there's nothing she can do to predict what happens next. That's the part that really messes with her. It's not just that you stopped talking, it's that you took the one thing she could always count on, your presence, and removed it completely. No closure, no explanation, just silence. And that silence makes her feel something she wasn't prepared to feel. Vulnerable. Women who are used to being in control hate that. They hate feeling like they don't know where they stand. And your silence flips that dynamic on its head. Suddenly, she's the one who's unsure. She's the one overthinking. She's the one wondering if she blew it. And you know what? Maybe she did. But that's not your concern anymore. Your job was never to convince her of your worth. Your silence does that for you. Your growth, your focus, your ability to walk away without burning everything down. That's what makes her realize she had something solid and didn't value it. Because let's face it, anyone can say they're done. Anyone can threaten to leave. But when you actually go quiet and mean it, that's a whole different level of strength. That's what most men don't have the guts to do. But when you do, she feels it deeply. She starts checking for signs, watching to see if you've moved on, trying to decode your posts, checking who you follow, who you hang out with. And even if you don't post anything at all, the fact that you're not giving her any clues drives her even more crazy. Because now, she can't control the narrative. She can't comfort herself with the idea that you're still stuck on her. You've become a mystery again. And mystery is magnetic, especially when it's tied to a man she once thought she understood. Don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean she'll come running back. Sometimes she does. Sometimes she doesn't. But whether she reaches out or stays silent herself, one thing's guaranteed. She feels the shift. And that shift starts to eat at her. Because now, she's questioning her own choices, wondering if she made the right call, regretting the way she pushed you away, dismissed your efforts, or played hard to get. And while she's busy sitting with all that doubt, you're out there building, living, moving. And that's the point most guys don't realize. Your silence isn't supposed to bring her back. It's supposed to bring you back, back to yourself, back to your focus, back to your mission. And when that happens, when your attention is no longer being wasted on someone who wasn't matching it, that's when you start winning. That's when you become the man who doesn't chase anything that isn't choosing him clearly. By the time she realizes what your silence really means, it's usually too late. Not because you're trying to punish her, but because you've evolved past needing her validation. That's the quiet most women never expect from a man. They expect emotional outbursts, long texts, guilt trips, or at the very least, we need to talk. But when you offer none of that, when you give no explanation, no final words, and no sign of distress, that kind of silence feels final. It feels like a door slamming shut in her mind, one she didn't even know she left open. And that door doesn't just close on her access to you. It closes on the fantasy she built. The fantasy where she could keep you around without ever choosing you. The idea that she could string you along, breadcrumb you just enough, and you'd always be right there. But now, that illusion is gone. You've stepped out of her game. You've shown her something rare, a man with boundaries, standards, and self-respect. And those things, they're more attractive than any looks, charm, or money, because they scream value. And when something has value, its absence is loud. That's why going quiet isn't weakness. It's discipline. It's emotional control. You're not ghosting out of fear. You're choosing silence as a way to protect your energy. And here's the part that messes with her most. The stronger you get in that silence, the more she starts to reflect. She might not admit it. She might never send that "I miss you" text. But it will cross her mind. Multiple times. At night, when she's alone. When she's scrolling and sees something that reminds her of you. When she dates someone new and realizes it doesn't feel the same. That's when the echo of your silence becomes deafening. And maybe, just maybe, she'll reach back out. But by then, you'll be different.
You won't be the guy who's eager for her response. You won't be holding on to hope.
You won't even be waiting, because the silence you gave her gave you space to heal, think clearly, and regain control of your path. And now, you see her for what she is, not as some perfect woman on a pedestal, but a human who made a choice, and you made yours. You chose peace. You chose progress. You chose power. That's why going quiet changes everything, not just for her, but for you. Because once you realize you don't need to explain yourself to be heard, or chase someone to be valued, or beg someone to love you, you stop trying to force what's not meant for you, and you start attracting everything that is. You start moving like a man who's emotionally untouchable, a man who doesn't fold under pressure or crumble when someone pulls away, a man who can love deeply but detach when
necessary. And that kind of man, he doesn't just get women. He keeps them wondering long after he's gone. That's the power of quiet. It's not empty space. It's a message. A strong, undeniable message. And if she was ever really paying attention, she'll get it loud and clear. You were never trying to disappear. You were just done showing up for someone who couldn't see what was right in front of her. And now, you're gone. Not in anger, not in spite, but in silence. A silence that screams, I gave you a chance. You didn't take it. Now you don't get another one. And that's the moment it really hits her, when she realizes you're not waiting anymore. You're not hoping. You're not hurting. You've moved forward without her. And there's nothing more painful than realizing you lost someone who stayed silent, because that silence always comes right before he becomes untouchable. Watch the next video. You're not done yet.